Hello, everyone. My name is Tooways Asmal. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. Now, we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow. For those listening on the podcast, please leave a rating. Now, if you're joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a two in the comments if you're watching the recording. This week, we've got a special session for you. My guest for this week is Lazola Momo, a chartered accountant with an extensive career in the public sector, in government and state-owned enterprises after starting at the Auditor General. She's also the chairperson of ABASA Western Cape. Lazola, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tooways. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here and share with you guys.
Amazing. Let's jump straight in. Tell us your story. Where do you come from? And even outside of work, who is Lazola Momo? Give us that back.
Yeah. So I am from Kariecha, previously known as Utenake. And interesting fact, I learned, or it might not be so, because probably be another Utenake, but it was one of 4 towns that was nominated to be possible capital of the Republic of the Union of South Africa at that time in 1910. So I grew up there, went to a public school, and with around 93, 94, those changes happening, and then my parents wanted to take me to a Model C school, and then because I probably wasn't really prepared, I didn't manage to get in to a boys' school I was supposed to go to around primary school that time, but then I managed to be at Utenake Convent, spent 2 years, and then I made it to the boys' school. Contrary to me wanting to go elsewhere because of that's what my friends were saying, and I just wanted to be with friends. But ended up being a good experience. It's an all-boys school, York College. One of the oldest schools in the country. It's over 200 years old. Very good history. It's founded by Scots. So I think they had some ways in terms of how to groom young men and get them ready. So finished my high school there and then went to NMU. And the reason I went, NMU now, but it was NMMU at the time. And the reason I went there when it was the Career Expo and we're looking at what programs do they have. At that time, they just had 100% pass rate for I think it was what is now APC. So I thought, okay, this is good. So if I want to be the best, I must go to one of the best. And since they had 100%, I applied and I did get in. I did a 4-year program. They were calling it the BCom Rationam. Basically, it's BCom accounting for CAs added with another major. So I started with BCom Rationam IT. So the story goes, some might know, some might not know, but the VW plant is in Utenake. There's no career there. So my father was working there at the paint shop. So it happened that one of the probably in-house developed systems had an issue. And then probably being in-house developed, they had to now find someone who was able to fix it, and then they had to call someone from Germany, the mother plant, to fly down and fix the issue and then fly back again. So my father then had, no, system is wrong, someone from Germany is flying down, and I come then, okay. And then he went back home to see us and said, you're going to do IT. That's what you're going to do. Like, I want to do accounting. No, you're going to go into IT. So I'm sure now he's smiling because IT is the field nowadays. With all that's happening with advancements in the IT field and AI. So I'm sure it's like, yeah, I told you so. But so fortunately enough, I was like, okay, with BCom Rationam, I can do what I want, CASA, and I can also do IT on the side. but because of the requirements for third year, which was you had to pass the second year programming module, which I couldn't do all the other modules and so forth. So I decided to switch to economics and business management. So my last 2 years of my 4-year program was with that option, and graduated, but didn't meet the requirements for CTA. And then I did an occasional study, which was 1 year. The only module I needed to improve was accounting. And then I also said, let me also do tax, which I did pass, but I wanted to improve the mark anyways. So I did the 2 modules that year, qualified for CTA. And then I failed first year, failed second year, I passed on my third attempt. At that time, I was doing my articles first year and studying part-time in the office of the Auditor General. Outside of all of that, I enjoy my interests, be it sports, soccer, rugby, tennis, Formula One especially, and then getting involved in more your developmental things. With what has happened in my career, I've met people in different areas, and there's a friend of mine who's running a development clinic. Sometimes I go there, we chat about developmental stuff and interesting things that build up the person, that also tries to build up the community. Yeah, and as I was checking earlier before this, that my second born just arrived 3 months ago. So my first born is 5 years old. I've been married for going to the 6th year now. It will be my 6th anniversary in June. And a nice thing that came by this morning, I got an invite from a friend who's actually getting, I think they're doing a traditional wedding on the same day, which is the 15th of June. I was like, oh, yes. So, yeah, that's me for the time being, and let's see what's next.
Okay. So, I mean, after your time on the Auditor General, I see, I mean, you worked at the city as a compliance officer, and then at
Yes.
Cape Nature as a senior manager, and I see you back
Yeah.
at the city, head of monitoring and reporting, which sounds like
Yeah.
a very, very senior role. But what I want to ask you is that I hear many people who are thinking about studying and maybe going into the public sector space or thinking of going to the Auditor General. Some of them say there aren't that many accounting job opportunities if one stays in government or stays in public sector. But your career clearly debunks that assumption. Why do people have that perception?
I'm not sure. I actually thought you were going to say that people that are sort of scared to go that side, but I think I guess it's a matter of the opportunity not coming at that time, or there's actually a lot of competition, to be actually clear. I mean, being in a senior role, as you said, there are people reporting to me, then there's vacancies, and then you advertise and so forth, and the number of CVs that I have to go through, it's a lot, and you see a lot of highly qualified people that sometimes people are more qualified than I am, and they apply for jobs, and then sometimes they don't make it because yes, they have a higher qualification, but the experience required and what the job requires, there are people who have the right qualification and have the right experience. So it's best to probably go with them because they have both instead of just one. So I think it's that thing. But in terms of accounting and finance and our field as CA, I think it's up to the person. I know a number of people, okay, basically where I am, I know there's a lot of CAs to some extent. In one of the programs we were dealing with, the one guy was like, I didn't know there were CAs at City. Like, no, there's a lot of CAs at City. Yeah, so no, there are opportunities, and I think we do add a lot of value. First thing I want to start with is what one of my lecturers used to say is, guys, get qualified and then you'll know the world is your oyster. And it's sort of the case when you probably know what you want and then you go for it. Because we can go into a lot of things as CAs, because it's not just accounting. We know there's a number of fields, be it from management accounting, cost side of things, or the finance side of things, be it risk management, be it compliance that I'm dealing with mostly, be it reporting. So we really do bring a lot of things that actually add value. And once you have that, opportunities open, because that your work ethic does speak for you.
Okay. And did you always know that you were going to remain in the public sector, or has it just been how your career has developed?
Yeah, I was hoping you'll come to that, because it's one of the things that I should have mentioned in the beginning. So I think it was around the hype of 94, South Africa becoming a democratic republic, and the Rainbow Nation story. And funny enough, as I was saying to you, that I was having a meeting with the CM today. We're presenting to him. So one of the things he mentioned is, you mustn't trust politicians, must be careful of politicians and so forth. But I was laughing that, you know what, it's a politician that brought me into, probably I would say, the public sector, in that President JF Kennedy had that saying, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And that has always been in my heart. And I think that time, being born, being young around that time and thinking what's going to be next, that hype and everything, the excitement, it was for me to say, you know what, I want to be part of the people that built this country. So I've always known that I'm going to be in the public sector. That's a decision I made. I was still in high school. And then the plan was that I will go the sort of usual route of qualifying, do your studies, finish your articles with the Big Four. And then I knew that if I'm going to go to government, the first possible option will be the AGSA. But funny enough, things happened the other way. I ended up at the AGSA, and I was sort of surprised how big government is, and that it's actually not a sector; it's all the sectors in the country. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's really what got me into it. That Rainbow Nation hype, and then also believing the politician that ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. That really got me into it.
And I mean, since you mentioned it, in terms of, do you, for people to know, do you experience, I mean, at the different levels? So obviously, you've
Mm,
gone through the different levels. Do you
mm.
experience political pressure from political parties in your position, or is it more only the, like if you're on the Mako, as an example?
Yeah, so you will have the from the political side, you have Mako as sort of the board of directors. So the mayor will be the chairman of the board, and his team of mayoral committee members, or members of the mayoral committee, um, and then we have the rest of council. So they really do the accountability side of things. Um, Whereas from the administration side, we have the city manager, as you'll say, the CEO, and then he has his executives as well. We actually call it, because we are in Metro, we call them the executive directors, then there's directors, and then managers. So we are at the level where we have the portfolio committees and we account to them, more of like your, when we know in Parliament the ministers and the members of Parliament will call on the ministers and their portfolios to come and account to them. So it's the same process in local government. We have the councillors sitting in different portfolios and we account to them. And not much at my level, but we do get, when we sit on portfolio committees and so forth, and like, or when we have an event, because I'm in a space that is doing public empowerment and development, which is a recent department that houses the main program, EPWP, which is the Expanded Public Works Program, that seeks to provide short-term opportunities to people who don't have work, to give them exposure and give them skills so that they can actually go out to the job market and get something permanent. It's not it's short term. At most it can be 3 years, from 6 months up to 3 years. So my role actually is reporting on that and monitoring that there's compliance with that process. So there's a lot of projects we do, and when we have successes in those, you'll have the councillors coming in, maybe it's in their area or their sub council, and they will be there celebrating, and then they will want to push for this thing to happen and that thing to happen because it's in their area, and then it's good marketing for them. So especially the city manager reminded us that, listen, the only power they have is to monitor. If you don't like something, just say no, or tell them, please put that in writing, and then we see what happens next. And most of the time, he knows they don't want to do that because they don't want to expose themselves. So it's for us to understand that there's the administrative side, and then there's the accountability side, and all they can do is hold us to account.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I know there's another myth or this belief that one might, if they want to go the public sector route, they might miss out on certain experiences if they go to the public sector. What are your thoughts on that?
There is those things, but funny enough, from my side, from my experience, I know a lot of people that I worked with at the AG, and after the AG they went to public sector, and then after that they go to private sector. And I think I've got there's a recruitment agency I'm with, and I've also been approached to say, don't you want to do this? And sometimes they would say, there will be those will say, okay, but your experience is in the public sector and so forth. And I'm also in the SAICA Southern Region Council. So it's one of the things we have discussed, that people have this perception that if I say in public sector, you won't have this experience or capabilities. And we've like, no, a CA is a CA is a CA. And a lot of people who came from public sector to go that side have proven that. And so I think those who still have that perception, they're sort of missing out. I know some people who have actually gone to private and they're like, no, what? I've had enough, I want to go, come back. So I'm not going to say there isn't those people who have that perception. There are those people, and we do hear about it, especially when we go and speak to SAICA from the administrative side and say, guys, these are these things, what's happening and what. And they were like, no, we just something that they also need to look at how they can dispel it and say, no, once someone is qualified, it means they can go anyway.
That helps a lot. For the audience, we'll be responding to questions towards the end. So please add your questions to the comment section now so that we don't miss them. Talk to us a little bit about your move from the Auditor General to the City of Cape Town that first time. Was it difficult making a transition from auditor to client, for lack of a better word?
I think what sort of helped is because in your audit process, you have that understanding the environment, the ISA 315, where you get to understand business processes and then see what's the risks and so forth, and what you can recommend as solutions to improve those areas, but also more of looking at, okay, and probably understanding systems, being able to understand this is how a good system should function, and therefore that helped with where I am, because when I was in my final year of articles, where I was the department that was responsible for organizational performance was looking for people. So I started there on contract, and we were busy reviewing processes for performance reporting. So line departments will have their respective indicators where they have to go and implement. They have targets that they need to achieve, and then we need to make sure that the processes that they employ everything is basically auditable, so that when AG does come, there are no issues. So that was really how I started. It was sort of very easy because in a way I was applying what I've learned in audit and also looking at controls and what the right controls to put in, and then knowing that, okay, there's compliance with laws and regulations that come in when it comes to the AG audit, where clean audit is the main thing, because it looks at your normal financial statements, then it goes to laws and regulations with the compliance aspect, and then the performance part of things. So I started from that corporate space, and then once my contract was done, one of the departments who were assisting and helping, they said, you know what, you guys are busy recommending these things for us, come in and help us institute those things. So I went in, and then eventually that's how I stayed in permanently.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I noticed you, I mean, after your stint at City of Cape Town, you went to the Cape Nature for 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
almost 5 years, which is quite a long time.
Correct. Yes.
But that experience from the outside looks a little bit different. The purpose seems to be a little bit different because the goal of that organization is very different to the goals of the other organizations that you work for. So talk to us about that experience.
Just to say, firstly, I learned a lot there, and also seeing that it was I think coming to the point you mentioned of it's almost 5 years, was starting at the PO position was a bit low, and then looking at what's the senior positions that I can go to, there was always that requirement of 5 years experience. So when I got into that position, it comes back to the point where I say that you get to meet a lot of people, and then your work ethic and so forth, and the people that you meet, they also work on your behalf, because that position was previously held by a friend of mine, and then he left and went to private, and then he said, no, I've left, go there, and they're gonna need your skills and your type of things. I said, okay, I'll try, and it actually it worked. And then when he decided, no, I'm done, I'm gonna go back to public, I saw on my LinkedIn the company that he left, they were viewing my profile as well. So it was kind of funny, but you had to go. It was an internal control position. So again, your controls, but then also I got to learn a lot about risk management, because in the portfolio that we're in, it was internal control, it was risk management. And it was my first time dealing with the board and accounting to the board, and then also having to balance between being under the board indirectly and then directly under the executive. It was a good experience. And then I've also learned about how things work differently in the executive. But then coming to Cape Nature, it really opened my eyes. I learned the importance of the environment. I learned about conservation. I learned about biodiversity. It opened my eyes a lot, like the ecosystems that are there, how systems work, how important they are. If an ecosystem is not functioning well, what sort of impact it can have. Yeah, it was like, wow, there's a lot to learn. And I remember talking about the balance between executive and board, and then also there's the operational side of things. I really wanted to go to operational side of things and affect there and make sure that there's good controls. That in my first 6 months, I was busy going around, because Cape Nature was overseeing all the public nature reserve in the Western Cape. So we'll go around and check controls, but mainly dealing with the people, because they are the people who are going to implement them, and just making sure that they have the right understanding and they're doing things that, and also understanding things from their perspective, because we might bring in things and implement from the point of view of theory, but it's also important to understand their theory, because then now that's where I got to learn about conservation, that's got to learn about ecotourism, that's where I got to learn about biodiversity. And then seeing how whatever solution you can bring works to the best of their ability, and in a way you achieve what you want to achieve, and then they also achieve what they want to achieve. So for me, that was very nice. I enjoyed it. Even forgot that I was there for that time, because it always, for me, I love traveling, and I think I love enjoying those type of settings. So it was a bonus for me to do a work that I enjoyed doing, and then also experience that side of things.
All those hidden beaches that the public can't get to go to, that I'm sure you got to see. I've, I've seen some of those, but it sounds like you came out a lot more well-rounded professional
Yes,
when you
yes,
went in.
very much, especially dealing with um, the executive and the board, and then also the different professionals as well, because you have to sort of now respect each other and see how you can work together, because they have their, I would say, standards. We have our standards as well. So that was a nice interaction.
Okay.
Mm.
As we're coming close to the end, quick one on ABASA. Have I missed the events for this year? I don't see. Are there still things happening in the Western Cape? What's happening?
We're on hold because of what's the impasse that's happening at national. So there's been where the board members have unfortunately ended up in court. So we're trying to resolve, because for us it hampers our interaction with our stakeholders in terms of the things we're trying to do. So some of the events that are happening is more on the student chapters, and helping them to continue their work, because I think as long as they can continue, then we're still good in terms of making sure that the pipeline is still bringing up future CAs. And we hope that the court issues will come to an end soon, so that we, on a good governance state, we can deal with our stakeholders. Because I think for us, this side, we're worried about our stakeholders' reputation. Yeah.
Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. And any last few words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
Yeah, that I think I've enjoyed so much what I'm doing. As I said, the passion was there from the beginning. I'm actually reminded when I was doing my CTA for the third time, and then I was at AG doing my first year of traineeship. We had a tutorial program that was done by CA Connect. And I think it was Gareth who said, find what you love, qualify, go for what you love, don't worry, the money will come. And I can safely, and again, as I had said, one of my lecturers was saying, qualify and the world is your oyster. So our profession offers a lot of opportunities, and one thing I've learned is we do bring value. I've seen from my experiences where I will come in and say, you know what, this is the challenge, this is what's happening. And then you can say, okay, guys, what about this? What about this? And then they're like, okay, yeah, that's good. From a more technical solution, I would say it's easy. The challenge, public sector, is trying to get everyone to work towards something. So if we're saying this is the objective to want to achieve, see what is the best way to bring all the different aspects. For example, the politicians, see how you can work with them, the executive, how you can work with them, senior management, operations, how they can all work to achieve something, so that we have an understanding, so that at the end of the day, we know whatever we do, the benefit is for the people. And seeing what value we can add and bring, it really got me to a point to say, you know what, becoming a professional should be the standard thing in the country. Everyone should just study towards becoming a professional, because it helps a lot to make sure that there's efficiencies. And if you understand what will be the benefits of efficiencies, it works for everyone. There will be no need for a 15.5 VAT. We'll probably have a zero VAT if we can just be efficient and and do things right. Because once you go in and you make things efficient, you realize that, you know what, you don't really need that lot of money that has been budgeted for. You just need to have good planning. Yes, the proper budget that actually fits the purpose. And then you realize, you know what, things are not as expensive they are made out to be. or budgeted or planned for. We can actually do these things at the correct price, and the impact is that we don't need to charge people a lot of tax for what is happening.
I think that's a great way for the show to end. The show has been live
Yeah.
on YouTube and will be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Lazola, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah. Looking forward to another session.